First contact. The morning mist clung to Millbrook's rolling hills when Vexani stepped off the transport shuttle, her silver blue skin catching the early sunlight. The Caridian exchange program had selected her for this backwater human settlement, precisely because of its isolation. Fewer variables, they said. Fewer complications. Her people, the Caridians, had evolved beyond individual emotional bonds centuries ago. They functioned as a collective consciousness, sharing experiences and knowledge without the messy entanglements of personal attachment. Vexani had volunteered for this assignment specifically to study these strange, human friendships that her professors found so primitive yet fascinating. The local coordinator, Mrs. Patterson, led her through the small town square where curious humans peered from behind curtains and shop windows. Their faces displayed such a range of expressions: fear, wonder, excitement, suspicion. On Caridia, faces remained neutral, emotions processed through the collective rather than worn openly. "Don't mind them, dear," Mrs. Patterson whispered. "Most folks here have never seen one of your kind up close. You're the first alien exchange student we've had." At Millbrook High, Vexani's arrival caused quite the stir. Students clustered in hallways, whispering and pointing. Her enhanced hearing caught fragments. "Those eyes are huge. Is that really her skin color? Do you think she's dangerous?" Then she met them. During lunch, while sitting alone and observing human social patterns, two boys approached her table. The first was tall and lean, with sandy hair and thoughtful green eyes that seemed to hold entire libraries behind them. The second was shorter but broader, with dark hair and an easy smile that radiated warmth. "Hey, you must be the exchange student," the thoughtful one said, sitting across from her. "I'm Ethan. This is Marcus." Marcus plopped down beside his friend, completely at ease. "We figured you might want some company. New places can be rough." Vexani studied them through her large, violet eyes. Her people had briefed her on human social hierarchies, but these two seemed different. They approached without the fear or aggressive curiosity she'd observed in others. "I am Vexani," she said, her voice carrying the melodic tones of her species. "I am here to learn about your friendships." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Friendships? That's a specific thing to study." "My people do not form individual bonds," she explained. "We share consciousness collectively. Your concept of choosing specific individuals for emotional connection is alien to us." Marcus laughed, not mockingly, but with genuine amusement. "Well, you came to the right place. Ethan and I have been best friends since we were 5. We could give you a masterclass in friendship." Something stirred in Vexani's chest, a flutter she couldn't identify. On Caridia, such sensations were immediately absorbed into the collective and neutralized. Here, alone, the feeling lingered strangely. "I would like that," she said, not knowing she had just taken her first step toward understanding the beautiful complexity of human emotion. The bonds deepened. 3 weeks into her stay, Vexani found herself caught between two worlds that couldn't be more different. Ethan introduced her to the local library, where they spent hours discussing philosophy, literature, and the nature of consciousness. He shared his favorite books, Tolkien, Asimov, Ursula K. Le Guin, and watched with fascination. As she devoured them, her advanced neural processing allowing her to read at superhuman speeds. "You understand these stories differently than I do," Ethan observed one afternoon as they sat beneath the old oak tree behind the school. "What do you see in them?" Vexani considered his question, her fingers tracing patterns in the grass. Authors write about characters who choose their own paths, who form bonds despite danger or difference. On Caridia, such choices are made collectively. Individual desire is unknown." "That sounds lonely," Ethan said softly. One cannot be lonely when one is never alone, she replied, but even as she spoke, she wondered if that was entirely true. Meanwhile, Marcus was teaching her different lessons. He showed her how to throw a football, how to drive his old pickup truck on country roads, and most importantly, how to stand up for herself when other students made cruel comments about her appearance. "You don't have to take their crap," he said after confronting a group of seniors who'd been making jokes about her skin color. Being different isn't being less. His protective instincts awakened something in Vexani that the collective had never prepared her for. When Marcus stepped between her and the bullies, when he looked at her with such fierce loyalty, her chest felt tight in a way that was both alarming and wonderful. The three of them began spending every free moment together. They'd meet at the diner after school, sharing milkshakes and stories. Ethan would read poetry aloud while Marcus worked on his motorcycle, and Vexani would ask endless questions about human customs, emotions, and relationships. "Why do you two remain friends?" she asked one evening as they watched the sunset from Miller's Hill. "You are very different," Marcus grinned. "That's exactly why. Ethan keeps me grounded, makes me think before I act, and I help him take risks, push boundaries." Complementary functions, Vexani mused, like biological symbiosis. "More than that," Ethan said quietly. "We choose each other every day. That's what friendship is, a daily decision to care." The concept struck Vexani like lightning. Choice, not assignment or programming or collective decision, but individual will. She looked at both boys, feeling that strange flutter intensify. Was this what humans called affection? Was she choosing them? That night, she composed her first report to the Caridian Council that wasn't entirely truthful. She described human friendship as a survival mechanism, a primitive bonding instinct. She didn't mention the warmth that spread through her when Marcus laughed, or the way Ethan's thoughtful gaze made her feel seen in a way the collective never had. She was beginning to understand that some experiences were meant to be kept private, treasured individually rather than shared with the whole. It was her first truly human realization. Heart's awakening by the second month. Vexani had become an integral part of Millbrook's social fabric, but her integration came with unexpected complications. The strange sensations in her chest had evolved into something more complex, a warmth. That varied depending on which boy she was with Dot when Ethan read her poetry under the library's warm lights. Her hearts, Caridians had too, seemed to synchronize with his quiet passion. When Marcus taught her to change oil in his truck, grease-stained and laughing, those same hearts raced with an entirely different energy. She began noticing things she'd missed before. How Ethan's eyes lingered on her when he thought she wasn't looking. How Marcus always positioned himself between her and potential threats. How both boys had started competing subtly for her attention. Ethan bringing her rare books, Marcus inviting her to motorcycle rides. The first crack in their friendship appeared during the autumn dance preparation. Marcus had casually mentioned taking Vexani, assuming their friendship gave him the right. Ethan had gone quiet, that thoughtful expression masking something deeper. "You can't just assume she'll go with you," Ethan said later, when they thought Vexani was out of earshot. Her enhanced hearing caught every word. "Why not? We're friends, aren't we?" Marcus shot back. "It's not like you had the guts to ask her." "Maybe I was planning to." The tension in their voices made Vexani's chest tighten painfully. Her people had no concept of romantic jealousy. Mating was a biological function managed by the collective. But she was beginning to understand that human emotions were far more nuanced and dangerous. That evening, she found herself alone with Ethan in the library. The setting sun cast everything in golden light, and when he looked at her, she saw something new in his expression, vulnerability mixed with determination. "Vexani," he began, his voice unusually hesitant. "I need to tell you something. These past months, getting to know you, I've never felt this way about anyone before. You make me want to be braver, more adventurous. You make me feel like the best version of myself." Her heart's hammered against her ribs. "Ethan, I know you're not human. I know this might not mean the same thing to you as it does to me. But I'm falling in love with you, and I needed you to know." The words hung in the air between them like a bridge she wasn't sure she was ready to cross. Love. The concept existed in her academic understanding of human behavior, but experiencing it was something entirely different. Before she could respond, Marcus appeared in the doorway. His face cycled through confusion, hurt, and anger as he processed the scene, Ethan's earnest expression, Vexani's startled silence, the intimate atmosphere. "So that's how it is," Marcus said quietly. "All this time, I thought we were just friends." "Marcus, wait," Vexani started, but he was already walking away. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Vexani felt the sharp pain of emotional conflict. She cared for both boys, but in different ways that she couldn't fully understand. Ethan's confession had awakened something profound in her, but Marcus's hurt expression cut just as deep. She was learning that human emotions weren't just complex, they were capable of causing real pain. And she was about to discover that love, for all its beauty, could also break hearts. Everything falls apart. The next week passed in uncomfortable silence. Marcus avoided them both, throwing himself into football practice and hanging out with teammates who'd never liked Vexani anyway. Ethan, meanwhile, seemed to regret his confession, his easy confidence replaced by awkward uncertainty. Vexani found herself caught between two kinds of pain she'd never experienced: the ache of missing Marcus's easy warmth and the confusion of navigating Ethan's tentative romantic overtures. Her nightly reports to the Caridian Council became exercises in creative omission. The breaking point came during the annual Harvest Festival. Vexani had been looking forward to experiencing this human tradition, but the festivities felt hollow without their trio intact. She watched from the sidelines as Ethan helped set up the book fair booth. His usual enthusiasm dimmed. Then she saw Marcus across the square, laughing with Jessica Chun and her friends. The sight of his smile, the first genuine one she'd seen from him in days directed at someone else, made her chest constrict painfully. "He's trying to make you jealous," Ethan said quietly, appearing beside her. "Jealous?" The word was foreign on her tongue. "It's when you want something someone else has, or when you don't want them to have what you want." He paused, studying her face. "You care about him too, don't you?" The question hung between them like a challenge. Vexani's training told her to deflect, to maintain emotional distance. But her hearts were beating out of sync, and she was tired of pretending she didn't feel anything. "Yes," she whispered, "but differently than I care about you." Ethan's expression crumpled. "I don't understand." "Neither do I," she admitted. "My people don't experience this kind of ... multiplicity. We either bond with the collective, or we don't bond at all." Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion near the apple bobbing station. Marcus was arguing with Derek Sullivan, one of the football players who'd made nasty comments about aliens taking over our town. "At least she's not pretending to be something she's not," Marcus was saying, his voice carrying across the square. "Right. Because dating aliens is so normal," Derek sneered. "What's next? Gonna have little green babies?" Marcus's fist connected with Derek's jaw before anyone could intervene. The festival crowd gasped as the two boys went down in a tangle of limbs, other players quickly joining the fray. Vexani ran toward the fight, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to move faster than any human. She reached Marcus just as he was, throwing another punch, catching his wrist with surprising strength. "Stop," she said, her voice carrying the harmonic authority of her species. "This is because of me." Marcus looked up at her, his face flushed with anger and something else pain. "Everything's because of you," he said, but not unkindly. "You came here and changed everything." "I know," she said, helping him to his feet. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry for being who you are," he said, then looked over at Ethan, who was approaching cautiously. "Be sorry for not being honest about what you want." The three of them stood in the middle of the dispersing crowd, the weight of unspoken truths heavy between them. Vexani realized that her study of human friendship had become something far more complicated and far more dangerous than she'd ever imagined. She was about to learn that some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt. Understanding the heart, a fight at the Harvest Festival, marked the end of their easy friendship, but it also forced a reckoning that had been building for weeks. The next day, Vexani asked both boys to meet her at their old spot under the oak, tree-neutral ground where their friendship had first truly begun. Marcus arrived first, sporting a bruised jaw and a wary expression. Ethan came minutes later, his usual thoughtful demeanor replaced by something more guarded. They sat in a triangle, the comfortable closeness of earlier months replaced by careful distance. "I need to tell you both something," Vexani began, her voice carrying the melodic tones that had become so familiar to them. "I've been lying in my reports to the council. I was sent here to study human friendship as an academic exercise, but what I've experienced with you, it's not academic anymore." She looked at each of them in turn, her violet eyes reflecting the afternoon sunlight. "My people believe that individual emotional attachment is primitive, inefficient. We share everything with the collective thoughts, feelings, experiences. But being here with you both, I've learned that some things are meant to be felt alone, kept private, treasured individually." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying that I've developed what you call feelings for both of you. Not the same feelings, but equally real." She turned to Ethan. "When you read poetry to me, when you share your thoughts and dreams, I feel connected to your mind in a way that has nothing to do with my species' collective consciousness." Ethan's breath caught, hope flickering in his eyes. "And Marcus," she continued, "when you protect me, when you make me laugh, when you push me to be braver, I feel something fierce and warm that I can only describe as joy." Marcus looked away, his jaw clenching. "So you want us both?" "That's not how this works, Vexani." "I know," she said softly. "And that's the problem. Your species forms exclusive pair bonds for mating and emotional partnership. Mine doesn't form individual bonds at all. I'm caught between two worlds, and I don't know how to navigate either." The silence stretched between them, filled with the weight of impossible choices. Finally, Ethan spoke. "What do you want?" he asked simply. Vexani considered the question, really considered it, not as a Caridian studying human behavior, but as an individual being asked to choose her own path. "I want to understand what love really means," she said. "Not just romantic love, but all kinds. The love between friends, the love that makes someone fight for you, the love that makes you want to be better than you are." She stood up, her decision crystallizing as she spoke. "I'm going to request extended residence on Earth. I want to learn how to be an individual, how to make my own choices about who I care for, and how." Marcus looked up at her, surprise replacing hurt in his expression. "You're staying? If you'll have me? Both of you?" She took a deep breath. "I can't promise I'll ever understand human love completely. I can't promise I'll make the right choices, or that I won't hurt either of you again. But I can promise that I'll try to be worthy of the gift you've given me." "What gift?" Ethan asked. "You showed me what it means to be chosen," she said. "To be valued not for what I can contribute to a collective, but for who I am as an individual." You taught me that love isn't just about possession or exclusive bonds. It's about caring enough to want what's best for someone, even when it's difficult. The three of them sat in contemplative silence as the sun began to set. They all knew that their friendship would never be the same. It would be something new, something undefined by either human or Caridian standards. So what happens? Now? Marcus asked. Visani smiled, the expression still new enough to feel like a revelation. Now we figure it out together, one choice at a time. As they walked back toward town, Vexani composed her final report to the council in her mind. She would tell them that human friendship was indeed primitive and inefficient, and absolutely worth preserving. Some bridges, she had learned, were meant to be built across the impossible spaces between hearts. The HFY spirit lived not in humanity's technological achievements or physical prowess, but in their capacity to love across any divide, even the vast space between species, between worlds, between ways of being. And in learning to love like a human, Vexani had discovered something her advanced civilization had lost: the courage to choose your own path, no matter how complicated it might be.